Hey everyone, welcome. This is Chris from Crafty Creations by CV. I'm just doing a quick tutorial today. I had a woman named Curie ask me on my Facebook page if I could demonstrate how I made one of my bows. And she had seen that I had used the Pro Bow, the hand maker, and asked me if I could kind of do a little tutorial on how to do it. So here I am. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to set up the woman who invented this board. She calls these fingers. Okay. So you're going to have a bunch of different holes. You're going to have different rows, and then you're going to have different levels. Okay. So each of those represents a measurement based on what size loop you want, how many layers to the bow you want, and I am not proficient in any of that by any means. So to learn more bows, you'd have to go on to probowthehand.com, her website, and she has tutorials on there all about her bows and things like that. This is just one of the bows I've learned from watching her on her videos, and it just seems to be my go-to bow. So basically what we're going to be using, there is this center finger here that has a little slit in it. That's going to help us hold our wire. And then we have a center hole here. And then we're using rows 2, 3, and 4. And it's going to be on C. Okay. And whatever you do on the right, you're going to do on the left-hand side. Okay. So what you're going to need for this is you need some floral wire. She recommends the 26 gauge wire. So that's what I generally use. When I first started off making bows, I didn't realize the gauge even mattered. And then I noticed some of the wire I used was too thick, so it made the inner part of the bow really bulky. And then I had used thinner wire, and I would go to pull it and it would snap and break. So definitely a learning curve, but getting there. So what I do is I just kind of measure out on my mat. I usually do like 20 inches for my wire, and we're going to cut 2 pieces of these. Okay. So you're going to need some little wire clippers. So I'm going to do one, and then I'm going to do another one. And again, about 20 inches is fine. Better to have more than not enough. So I'm just going to put these aside. I know it's kind of hard to see because they're so tiny, but you're going to have your 2 wires. And then the ribbon that I chose for the bow that I'm going to be doing is a yellow 1.5 inch ribbon. Okay. And she also has spool holders that she sells separately than the Pro Bow of the hand, but definitely comes in handy when you're using multiple ribbons. So this one I'm going to actually put on my spool holder on this first hole here. And when you put it on, make sure that your ribbon is going clockwise. It'll just help so it's not twisting all around on you. Okay, so that one's going to go there. And then I picked this, it's like a yellow and greenish leafy ribbon. Okay, same thing. Make sure it's going clockwise, and that's going to go on my center spool holder. And then I have this green Swiss dot ribbon, which is 1.5. So I have a 1.5, a 2.5, and then a 1.5. Okay, and again, clockwise, it's going to go on that third holder there. So what I'm going to do to start off is I'm going to take my yellow ribbon, okay, and I'm going to be wrapping it around these 2 center dowels here, okay. And what I'm going to do is I tend to just kind of put a little clip here because sometimes I can't hold it. And then I'm going to take one of my wires, and you're going to kind of slide it underneath your ribbon. Okay. Close to where this first post is, you kind of right up against there. And then you're going to tie this off. So you're just going to kind of do a quick tie. And then you're going to take this right one and you're going to go around one more time. Okay, just that right one. And then I'm going to take this off so I can show you. So now you're basically, you have your left part of your wire and your right part. Okay, this left part is actually going to slide through that slot I told you that's on the top. Okay, just like that. And then you're just going to clockwise wrap it around here. Okay, and then you could slide that little piece right in the top again. This right hand wire is actually going underneath, and there's a little nail that's down here, and you're going to kind of wrap it around it once, and then you're going to lift your board and just kind of tuck it underneath like that. Okay, so I'm going to take my 2 pieces of ribbon here, and I'm just going to cut that off. Okay, and I'm done with the yellow for now. I'm going to take the 2 pieces of ribbon. We're going to dovetail the ends. I dovetail as I go. It's just easier for me. So to dovetail, you're going to put your 2 pieces of ribbon together, and you're going to basically fold it in half so that all of your edges are lining up. Okay, so you just kind of push them so they're all lining up. So it'll just kind of look like that. And then you're going to take from the folded edge to the open edge on an angle. You're just going to take your scissors and you're going to cut on an angle, and that's going to dovetail it for you. Okay. And then I'm going to kind of just turn these and keep these down like this. The one thing I had to learn, which was a learning curve with this, is that when you're using the Pro bow versus other bow makers, you're actually making the bow from the top to the bottom or from the front to the back. Whereas the other bow makers, you're making from the back to the front or the bottom to the top. So it's just a little learning curve, but you just have to get used to it and then you're going to love it. So now that we have that all tied off and that's in place, we're going to take our second wire. Okay. And you're going to kind of just feed this into, I'm going to turn this up a little bit. So where you have your loop in here, you're going to feed this towards the right hand side. Okay. So that it doesn't get caught up in the other wire that you already put into the left. So it's going to feed down the right hand side like that. And then basically you're just tying this off. And like I said, just remember to go to the right, because otherwise you're going to get caught up in your original wire. And you're just basically tying that off. And she calls this your helping hand wire. Okay. And you just do that like that. So you have a top and then you have your bottom wire. And that's basically the start of helping it hold your materials for you while you make your bow. So now what I'm going to do is take my second ribbon, which is a 2.5. Okay. And I'm going to place it down on my mat, and I'm just going to give little scrunches, little pleats. Okay. Your good side of your ribbon is facing upward. So once you have your pleat, you're going to take it and just give it like a half a turn so that the good side of your ribbon is facing your dowels. And you're just going to set that right over where this yellow ribbon is and that you have that wire tied. That's going to go just like that. And then you're basically just going to take your wires, and I usually just use my other finger there to hold that in place, and you're going to tie that off. Okay. And you only really need like one little wrap around with the wire, and it holds it really good. And then as I go, I clip off, if there's a lot of excess ribbon on the end there, I just clip it so that it doesn't bulk it up in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this ribbon, and we're going to start with this first finger on row 2. So whatever I do on the right, I'm going to do on the left. So I'm just going to take it, and I'm basically just putting it right around that finger. And you don't have to pull it tight, because if you go to pull it too tight, you're actually going to shift your center part of your bow. So I've done that many times and learned the hard way. So you just kind of push it, you know, put it right around the dowel there. And then she teaches you to kind of take your finger and put it on where your wire is, just kind of a little bit below where you tied it off. And this ribbon, you're going to turn upward right on top of your finger. And then you kind of pinch it with your thumb, and you're just basically scrunching it in. Okay, you're just going to take your other and scrunch it in. So now you have it like this, and you're going to give it a half turn. Take your right thumb and kind of just hold it in place. Now your ribbon is, good side is facing the dowels again, and you're going to put it around the left number 1 finger. And just this is where I just give it a little pull just to kind of keep it snug. And now you don't have to hold it because all these are doing the holding for you. So again, you just kind of put your finger there. Your ribbon is facing upward, and you're just kind of doing like a little scrunch again. Okay, you're scrunching it in, and then you're doing a half turn just like that. Okay, now you're going to take your wires and you're just going to tie them off again. Okay, just like that. I'm just going to keep those there like that. And now I want to make some tails again. So what I do now, this is still all attached. I take it and I kind of measure it to where my other one is. And then I just kind of flip it up because I know that's kind of the length that I want. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and just do a little scrunch again. And you're just going to tie them off. Okay. And you can use your other finger to kind of hold it in place. But once it's tied, you don't have to worry about it. It stays in place. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece off because we don't need this. And just be careful when you go to snip it that you don't snip your wire. I've done that quite a few times. And again, I'm going to do a dovetail of these. So what I do is I make sure my wire is below it and my wire is up there. Okay. I'm going to stick my scissors through. Make sure you're kind of right in the center there and just cut it. You're going to flip your pieces up so that they're right on top of each other. Okay, just like that. And then you're going to cut on a diagonal from your folded edge to your open edges. You're just going to give it a cut. Okay, and again, then now you have your dovetails. So I'm going to just kind of turn these so that these are facing up the correct way. So we're going to have the floral pattern on top of the yellow pattern here. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take both these on the right and we're going to turn them up towards the dowels. Again, your good side is facing the dowels and we're just kind of bringing them up. Okay. They're just going to kind of go up in between your second and your third dowel. Same with here. We're going to kind of just give it a little turn and that's going to go up between our dowels. Just like that. Now we're going to take our green, which is going to be on the bottom, our last part of the bow. Again, we're going to just kind of put it down. You're going to scrunch the edges, give it a little pleat. You're going to take it, turn the good side so that it's facing your dowels, and you're going to put it right up against your other ribbons, and you're going to tie it off. The biggest thing with this as you go and when you learn is just trying to make sure that you're not pulling too tight where it's shifting your center here, because what you do is you want it stacked on top of each other as you go. And that as you do it and practice it, you get better at it. So there we have that. So now we're going to take this and we're going to go around the third row on the right here. Okay, so we're going to go around this dowel. And again, if you could see, if you pull too tight, it starts to shift your center here. So you don't have to pull that tight. And then by putting this clockwise, when you go to twist and everything, this is going to stay in the direction that you need it. So again, I'm going to kind of put my finger here and you're going to kind of pleat and kind of scrunch that up and you're going to give it a half turn. Use your other thumb to hold it. And now we're just bringing around the number 3 on the left-hand side. Okay. And then you're going to kind of turn it so that the bad side's kind of facing up a little bit. And you're going to scrunch it again. And you're going to give it a little half turn. Now we're going to go and take the same thing. We're going to do the same thing around row 4. Okay. And again, we're going to kind of turn your bad side up just a little bit, and you're going to scrunch it and then give it a half turn. Use your right thumb to hold it. And then you just loop it around the 4 on the left and do the same thing. Little scrunch and a half turn. And then just use your thumb to hold it in place for the moment. And you're going to use that second wire and you're going to tie that off again. Okay. Just like that. And I'm going to do my tails again. So I'm going to, these are going to be a little bit longer because these will be on the bottom. So I just kind of estimate, but if you want to be exact measurements, you can measure on your, either on your mat or with a ruler is fine. Good side is going to face the dowels, and you're going to tie that off again. And just like that. And I go around, this is my last one, so I go around a couple times. And at this point, you can keep this on and connect it when we take off the first wire, or I tend to just kind of clip this down a little bit and then tuck it underneath because I tend to confuse the wires and then I never tie them right. So I usually just cut that one off. And now I'm going to cut off from the ribbon spool. We're going to cut that off because we don't need that. And again, you just get as close as you can so you don't have a lot of bulk in here, but just be careful you don't cut your wire or cut it too short. So we're going to take this again. We're going to go up the middle. We're going to put our scissors in there. We're going to clip it. We are going to put both ribbons together, match them up. And we're going to fold it in half so that all the edges line up. And then we're going to dovetail it again. So that just means that we're going from the folded side to the open side on an angle. Okay. And that gives you your dovetail again. So now basically our bow is done, but we're going to kind of get it fluffed out here a little bit. So these are my bottom tails. Okay. Now we're going to bring our other tails down. So the other ones that we put up here, we're going to bring down. So we have our yellow, which is in the middle. We have our florals, which are on the top. And then we're going to pull these down. And what's nice, because this is all tied with the wire, you can kind of give it a good tug and it's not going to go anywhere on you. I would never be able to do this holding this in my hand. Definitely not skilled like that. So once you have your tails down, you're going to go underneath where that nail is and take that wire off. Okay, so here's the wire. And we're going to pull this one out and you just kind of jiggle it and it'll come out for you. And now what we're going to do is just basically tie this off. And before I tie it off, I just kind of take my fingers on the top and on the bottom of the central part just to kind of line it up and make sure it's lined up. And then I pull it. And you're just going to tie it around. And I just go a couple times there. And then basically all you do is you lift it off and there's your bow. Okay, so it's going to be kind of layered like that. And at this point, you can just, however you're used to fluffing it, some people put it on their wreath and fluff it there. Some people use a fluff box. Some people just do it by hand here. I tend to use the fluff box because it just helps, again, for me to hold everything in place. So this is what the fluff box is that she also made. And so I got that. So basically there's a little hook in the middle here. It's like a little eye hook. I don't know if you can see that. Let me do that. Little eye hook. And then you have a little nail. And I added an extra nail because I always tend to cut my wires too short and it never reaches that one. So what you do is you take your wire and you're actually going to just kind of loop it where your little hook is. And then you're going to wrap it around one of the nails. Okay. And then basically it's going to hold your bow for you while you're trying to fluff it. Okay. And you can kind of turn it so that it's on the corner here like that. However you want to fluff it is fine. So I take this, I put my finger through this bottom loop and then the other green loop, And I tend just to kind of give them little tugs so that I open and expand the bow loop to its fullest. Okay. And then I just kind of go up to the next one here and just kind of give it like a little tug and turn. And then I just kind of fluff that middle one out a little bit. And then what I do is I turn it. Okay, so that's that side. And then I just kind of turn it to this side and I do the same thing. Put my fingers through the loops and just kind of give them a little tug, twist, and turn. And the same thing with here. I just kind of walk my fingers in and give it a pull. And that wire's holding everything in place for you. So it's very helpful. Okay. And then once you're done fluffing it how you want it, and that's kind of what it'll look like. And you'll have to readjust it when you put it on your wreath again, but it at least kind of gives you a starting point with it. And then that's basically what your bow would look like. And like I said, if you go on her site, I believe it's probowthehand.com, she has all different tutorials. She teaches you how to use her board, and has a bunch of different styles of bows. But this tends to be my go-to. It's a little bit easier for me. It's not that complex. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you understood the tutorial. And if you have any questions, please just message me and I'll try to answer them the best I can. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining me and see you guys soon.